Hi, my name is Trey Cavanaugh, and this is my report on Sumer. Sumer was an ancient civilization located between the Tigris and Euphrates River and modern-day southern Iraq that was shown to have existed 5,000 years ago. This was not a unified empire, but a collection of city-states, each with their own name. In fact, Sumer was an exonym. Sumer was named by the Akkadians, the culture that replaced them in the 2nd millennium BCE. Many of the core structures of our present-day civilization originate from this culture. Sumer consisted predominantly of city-states and constant warfare that resulted in developing organization of men and battle technology. Examples of this include defensive walls for cities, chariots, and weaponry. They were responsible for development of the wheel initially used in pottery and later in chariots. The estimated population of these cities was 20,000 to 40,000, and 12 of these cities have thus far been discovered. The Sumerian culture created a lot of things that are common for us now. They created the first language, the oldest known writings, which are now on cuneiforms, which we will discuss later, weapons, the wheel, a 60-based number system, and the plow. The Sumerians domesticated sheep, goats, cattle, and pigs, with oxen and donkey being the primary transport animal. The dog was already domesticated and assisted in hunting. Animal husbandry consisted of multiple varieties of sheep, goats, and pigs. Some evidence exists that wild sheep and goats tended to live close to early human villages. Eventually, these animals were pastured and consumed based on nutritional needs of the early Sumerians. In addition, animals were sacrificed in the temples to ensure the favor of other gods. Farmyards also included ducks and geese raised for their eggs and meat. I suspect the early Sumerians captured these fowl in fishing nets and clipped their wings to prevent flight. Then these fowl were kept and confined in pens. This allowed for an active breeding process with selection for desirable traits. The chicken was not consumed until the 1st millennium BCE. Later, domesticated animals included oxen and donkeys as beasts of burden. In addition, the Sumerians adopted an agricultural science that included organized irrigation, development of the plow, and a specialized labor force, all under bureaucratic control. For a culture to develop, the agriculture has to be of such a grand scale to allow for vast surpluses of food, to allow for a significant component of the population to be fed and not have to raise their own food, thus freeing them to have additional pursuits. This requires organizing and stratifying of the population with well-defined and accepted disparate duties. The initial organization of Sumer was theocracy. From the cuneiforms, we learn of a class system that has the priests at the highest level. Each of these cities had a separate god that was given offerings and held in high regard. This individual god was responsible for the welfare and protection of the city. Even the story of Abraham, which is the basis of the covenant between man and God, originate from Sumer. Thus, the origin of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam can be traced to Sumer. In fact, even the Old Testament acknowledges Abraham came from the Sumerian city of Nippur. Clearly, Sumer had a very advanced religious beliefs and structure. The temple was called a ziggurat. These were pyramidal in shape and the center of all rituals. Most of the cuneiforms discovered were in these buildings. The city would extend about these temples. These temples controlled a great deal of land. One estimate reports the territory of Lagash comprised some 3,000 square kilometers, of which about 2,000 of naturally irrigated land. Temple land could not be bought, sold, or distributed in any way. The crops of the temple land were given to the temple for maintenance and sustenance of the priesthood and their families. The cuneiforms were necessary to record the events and market exchanges of these large cities. They were simply clay tablets with hieroglyphs or numbers etched by a tool. Initially, they were utilized for record-keeping of temple trade such as land management, grain harvested, and animals raised. These developed into recording religious stories and community decisions, such as settling affairs between citizens. The cities were ran by the all-powerful priesthood. Each city was managed by a city governor as an enzi, who was elected by free citizens of each community. Initially, these leaders determined the management of the city. The civil population of the cities consisted of four categories: nobles, commoners, clients, and slaves. Nobles and commoners. The nobility owned large estates. The commoner owned his own plot of land. These two groups would be considered the rich and working class in America. They were able to afford food consistently and had nice homes. Clients and slaves. The clients consisted of the temple personnel, temple administrators, and important tradesmen. These were the entrepreneurs of Sumer. Slaves were owned and exploited by all groups. Some of them were Sumerians captured in battle. Others were sold as children. So why did these people disappear? The cuneiforms do not say. We do know each city was in constant warfare with the other city-states. This had to be a drain on the resources and change the focus of the society. Eventually, the Sumerians were defeated by the Amorites from Levant. The Amorites represented a kingdom and not a collection of city-states. Surprisingly, Sumer was not known of until 1820 when excavation occurred in Iraq. Perhaps, in the future, we will find earlier civilizations through excavation and discovery. But for now, Sumer is considered the cradle of civilization, and perhaps our modern society can learn from their accomplishments and their downfalls, and not become another forgotten culture.